didn't look at myself in the mirror. I mean, really look at myself in the mirror for about 6 years. After having my second child, I started experiencing fatigue, anxiety, excruciating headaches. At the time, I had a toddler, a baby, and a brand new business, so I thought I was just working too hard. Then slowly, I started to swell, so much so that I had a hard time recognizing my own face. The inflammation contributed to body pains, made it hard to breathe, and made my vision go blurry at times. My body was yelling for help, but in return I just avoided mirrors and pushed on. Out of sight, out of mind. It wasn't until my muscles started cramping and not listening to my command that I finally decided to listen to it. Why did I wait so long? I'm not really sure. But I want to say that it was just hard to embrace having a chronic illness. I always pride myself on being low maintenance, as if taking care of myself and doing things for myself was something to not be proud of. It took me so long to do things like this. Now, giving myself an adrenal release has become part of my morning routine. Well, I only do it twice a week, but I also put on sunblock, something I never did before. Seems silly now, looking back at it. I'm 45 years old, I've been sick since 31, and it almost feels like I'm finally acknowledging me. And I have to say that I have slow living to thank for that. It almost seems like life around me always took priority. Like the things on my to-do list was what was the most important. And so many things have happened in my life to make me change my mind about that. Starting from the day I got divorced, and I ended up pulling my children out of school because there was just not enough time to process the divorce while at school. I mean, there were so many other things I didn't like about school, but I would say that that was the main one for me. My children needed time to express their feelings and process what we were going through as a family. And then little by little, I sold my business, I started traveling, and we kind of grew together. And as we grew, the more I realized that originally I had been seeing life the wrong way. I had been focusing on the finish line and not focusing on the next step I had to take in life. And more importantly, not taking care of me. Not taking care of not only my body, but my spirit. I feel like somewhere along the line, my spirit might have gotten a little bit crushed. And being the happy-go-lucky person that I consider myself to be, I just try to cover it with sunshine and didn't really pay attention to the wounds. I feel like slowing down has allowed me to pay attention to everything I feel, whether it be joint pain today and my hair falling out tomorrow, or simple things like sadness. It's taken me a really long time to embrace things like sadness, but I feel like when I do, I grow so much, and my happiness almost gets brighter. I feel like the more we ignore the pain, the less we're able to grow. And growth is very important to me and has always been. Yet I was ignoring this huge chunk of my life because I consider my to-do list to always be the most important. Now, as you guys see in my videos, my life is totally different. It's about the details. I am so aware of my body at all times. I feed myself depending on how I feel each day. I avoid foods that are not good for me. And when I eat something I'm not supposed to, my body reacts immediately and I listen. I look at myself in the mirror. In fact, that's the number one tell for me. As soon as my neck starts getting wider or my glands start swelling around my face and neck, I know something's up. In fact, I can probably predict a cold before it happens just by looking at my neck. It's pretty extraordinary. I actually love that. I have a tendency to like gravitate towards science, and I think I've learned how as soon as I see a change in my body, I can react appropriately. I keep herbs in my garden that I usually use for my teas. I have teas for different issues that I might be experiencing daily. I need to embrace where I am to be able to make my day better or prevent flare-ups in the future. So being hyper-aware helps me use all these things I now have in my disposal to have better days. It's also important for me to really understand what I enjoy and pursue that. Like truly look for things that add to my quality of life. So I take myself places I enjoy. I take it slow and I pace myself. If I go too fast, my heart loses its beat or its rhythm, and I've learned to slow down when it tells me to. I don't think I would have ever done that before, especially if you're walking next to somebody else that might be walking a little bit faster. I would have always kept up just to not inconvenience that person. But I've learned to stop and just give myself a moment. Let them go ahead. This moment also gives me time to breathe. I used to forget to breathe, and now I don't, because breathing is the most important thing. Seems silly now that I look back at it, but it's the truth. I'm being 100% transparent with you guys, because maybe you have experienced what I have, or maybe you haven't noticed when you forget to breathe. Embracing my illness. It's not a straight line. Sometimes I want to pretend I don't have it and eat whatever I want. And sometimes I want to push my body physically to do things that I know I can't handle. So it's still not, perfect. I think embracing an illness that you'll have for the rest of your life, that is always changing, will create an atmosphere in which you always have to learn to reaccept what you have now. Because you don't always have the same illness. It doesn't present the same every day. Every day is a little bit different. Just when you think you're feeling like great, you might have a bad day right after. And I think being open for whatever day you get is a great lesson to learn. Being okay with whatever result. I've been really lucky to have friends around me that accept that from me. Sometimes we'll make plans to take trips or do fun things, or even just get coffee, and I wake up and it's a bad day. And luckily I can just call them and let them know. But it hasn't always been like that, because before I just wouldn't say anything. I would just hold it in. Not to inconvenience them. Not to make them think that I didn't want to hang out with them. Because they could have thought I was a liar. Yeah. A lot of thoughts would go through my head. But now I know that speaking up for myself is so important, because if they were not feeling well, I would want them to speak up for themselves. And of course I would understand. Of course I would. That's why it's so important for us to give ourselves the same courtesy we would give somebody else. Now, after having this illness for so long, I've created a life that is adaptable. and more importantly, that listens to my body and spirit. My main concern is my happiness and that of my children. And I feel like my happiness reflects in my health. I'm my healthiest when I love me. I'm my healthiest when I take care of me. I'm my healthiest when I do things that make me happy. So I embrace slow living, simple living, as a way to give myself space to truly understand my illness, myself, and my heart. Thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.